precious ad-free space is being rapidly colonized, and I'm not buying it. Welcome back. This is a channel where I make fun of marketing and talk about marketing resistance. And today, it's a lot. So Telly is an LA-based tech. It's really a marketing company that gives away free TVs with their own branding. But go ahead and place several asterisks behind the word free. The big hook of the Telly TV is that it has a second screen, referred to as a smart screen. They really stretched themselves to come up with that one. The second screen is promoted as being just really helpful and as a convenient supplement to whatever you happen to be watching on the main screen, which is referred to as a theater display, which means nothing in terms of actual display specs. For example, the second screen can show football scores while you're watching football, or it can show weather while you're watching anything, I guess. But the actual reason for the second screen is to display ads whenever Telly and its advertising partners want to show you ads. It seems that the majority of the time ads are restricted to this little section of the screen over here, but they can also occupy the entire second screen. Now, curiously, the TV itself is not much of a smart TV at all. It apparently only has a couple of native apps, one of which is Zoom. By the way, there's a front-facing camera on the TV that's a whole other kettle of worms and is very creepy to me inherently. But yeah, lots of the smart TV functionality that you would expect depends on an included Android TV HDMI stick. Now, I can only speculate as to why the key functions of the TV are divided up in this way. It's very possible that Telly could not secure deals directly with the major streaming services, so they opted for what was basically a ready-made solution. It's also possible that they wanted the internals of the TV itself to be dedicated solely to ad delivery, basically, and of course, user analytics and reporting, which is the ultimate purpose of Telly's entire business model. Normally, businesses that want to actively collect user data, and that is, virtually all consumer-facing businesses these days, are kind of sheepish about it, and that has been influenced by a certain amount of regulation. But Telly is at the opposite end of the spectrum. Telly is the guy asking everybody for a dance, and not in like a fun, wholesome way. They may not highlight their data collection to potential customers, but it has definitely been a prominent aspect of the company's more like B2B PR. Take this CNBC feature, for instance. And the one review of the Telly that I managed to find online, the one written review, I think there are probably a couple video reviews out there. Anyway, but this one written review takes an incredibly nihilistic perspective that I think gives us a useful point of reference. Basically saying that Telly is proposing that, hey, if TVs and other devices are collecting and selling your data anyway, why not at least get a free TV out of it? I think this signals a notable moment in the history of data privacy, a moment in which glossy new tech startups just say, well, things are already bad, we may as well make them a whole lot worse. And to be clear, it is true that mainstream smart TVs from really reputable brands can and often do collect your usage data. And of course, literal ads integrated into smart TVs are a much more recent development than data collection, but that doesn't mean the concept of ad integration in our tech devices is new. In fact, it's pretty darn old. And before we go back in time, I just want to have a quick note here that, like, I think a lot of us are in a pretty good spot right now, relatively speaking, in terms of ad-integrated tech devices. So, for example, I have an LG TV. Unfortunately, it shows me ads on the home screen, and unfortunately, if I leave that home screen idle for long enough, it shows a full screen ad, which just grosses me out, so I always put it on some other kind of setting. But while doing some research for this, I was kind of shocked and grossed out to hear that Chinese tech, meaning tech for the Chinese domestic market, apparently multiple brands have established integrated advertising as the norm for their products. And while I haven't been able to find the very first instance of tech product ad integration, I do have a pretty early example from 2004, which I think is a good way of demonstrating that this stuff isn't new at all. It's the Gizmondo. This was a disaster of a gaming handheld with a fascinating story behind it for all the wrong reasons. LGR here on YouTube has a great video covering most of it, and in hindsight, I think that the Gizmondo serves as a pretty great encapsulation of an intensely cynical, business-minded tech product. I've heard conflicting accounts on the whole situation, so I'm just telling you what I know. But basically, Gizmondo had a smart ads service.
It's targeted for individuals who are, lead interesting lives, the people about town. So obviously, those are the kind of ads we'll get. I get, smart ads specifically tailored for me. It's brilliant.
I've heard from some people that it was a certain edition of the device was a smart ads edition, which meant that you would essentially buy it for a little bit less because, the cost was being subsidized by the fact that you're agreeing to be served a bunch of ads on this thing that you bought. But then, based on reporting from the time and the official Gizmondo Quick Start Guide, which I have right here, it seems that the smart ads feature, if we want to call it that, which they trademarked, by the way, can't let anybody have that one. It was something that you could opt into when you first set up the device. So here's the Gizmondo description of the service, which I think is worth reading. As part of the initial registration process, you will be asked whether you would like to receive advanced multimedia information and promotions by way of smart ads. If you select yes to this question, smart ads will bring you all the latest promotions in a maximum of 3 15 to 30 second long multimedia advertisement excerpts per day, completely free of charge. In addition, you will also be able to benefit from any promotions or special offers attached to the advert. This means that Gizmondo could help you to enjoy the delights of discounted clothes, music, food, and even money off entrance prices to exciting high-profile events. Okay, so between this copy and the smart ad branding itself, I think it's clear that they wanted this to feel like it was all about you. It's right in line with that marketing fantasy that we still hear repeated all the time, even today, that targeted advertising is actually for the benefit of customers, that they're rescuing us from some kind of dystopia where it's impossible to find the stuff that we want to buy, where we need to be pointed to precisely which brands we're most likely to identify with on a personal level. The great irony of Gizmondo's smart ads service is that it never actually functioned. Apparently the launch of the device was such a failure that they just never managed to attract advertisers or actually serve ads to the users. To sum up, the idea of ad-integrated devices is not new at all. It's been around basically for as long as internet-connected portable tech has existed. And that makes sense because targeted advertising really does depend on a persistent and reasonably fast internet connection. And obviously the migration of video-based entertainment to virtual environments and interconnected devices has primed those virtual platforms and physical devices for ad integration of some kind. All right, things have changed. So it's Sunday night. I spent about 7 hours today editing the video I was exporting we were done, we were in the clear. Of course, then I was like, well, I need to make a thumbnail. So I just wanted to get an image of the Telly TV. Through Google image search results, I got sent to a Variety article from 2023. I want to say that I'm kind of ashamed. I'm kind of ashamed that I clearly did not do enough research before writing the script and recording the footage and editing the footage for this video. Clearly, I need to be much more thorough with this stuff. In the original edit, I talked about ways of potentially subverting the Telly TV specifically, as well as some other similar devices. And I even tested it out, because here's the big twist. This was going to be such a fun reveal. But there's a Telly right here in this apartment. My roommate got one. That's the only reason I found out about this whole thing at all. So I went in there, recorded some footage to show how the ads show up and things like that. And I potentially tested how it's affected by not being connected to the internet. And then later in the video, I said, hey, this seems to work okay, but there's always a chance that there's something in like the EULA, essentially, that they might have an issue with you doing something like that, but how would they know? They would need that internet connection. However, clearly the company saw that coming from a mile away. So they wrote what, in my non-binding opinion, might be the most hostile terms of service that I have ever seen. So first things first, there is reportedly a sensor on the front of the TV, and this is for detecting how many people are in front of the television at any given time. Already bad. Like the worst start possible from a perspective of privacy, consumer rights, and things like that. But much more importantly, when you sign up to receive one of these TVs, you are agreeing to, I'm just going to quote right from the article, which also quotes Telly directly. I'll have it on the screen for you here. I don't want to make any mistakes with this at all. Quote, among the Telly TV requirements, you must use the product as the primary television in your household. You must keep the TV connected to the internet at all times, and you are not allowed to use any ad blocking software. In addition, users may not make physical modifications to the product or attach peripheral devices to the product not expressly approved by Telly. The company says in its terms of service, any attempt to open the product's enclosure will be deemed an unauthorized modification. End quote. So, what happens if you don't follow these rules? Here's another quote. If someone doesn't abide by the TOS, that's terms of service, Telly reserves the right to demand the TV be shipped back. Otherwise, it will charge up to $1,000 to the credit card associated with a given account. So it's one of my priorities that this channel, regardless of the subject matter that we're talking about in any video, that it remain like a relatively peaceful and kind of calming space. I don't think that people need any more sources of stress or anxiety, especially online. The original edit of this video, I think, was very civil. I never went off on Telly or like any other company that has similar business practices. I never told anybody not to get one of their products. And I also want to say that in general, I'm not someone who's very expressive with their emotions. I also want to tell you that right now it's taking all of my willpower to stop myself from just yelling into the camera and to stop myself from saying a lot of things that I really want to say. And I also have a feeling, just a feeling, it's a hypothetical, alleged feeling. Maybe I haven't even really had this feeling, I'm not sure. But it's possible I've had the feeling that Telly is the kind of company that would actively try to ruin my life with legal action if they felt like there was an opportunity. I didn't make a recommendation before. I am making a recommendation now. Don't get a Telly. Don't engage with the company in any way. Don't even think about the company. They don't deserve that at all. They don't deserve your time, effort, none of it. Yes, other smart TVs are bad. They're not as bad as this. You are not risking a massive fine by using some other TV however you want. And that's what Telly has not been making clear to its user base, is that it's never really going to be your TV. Telly is just letting you use this thing in a very specific way that they've predetermined so that they can gather incredibly valuable data about what you and your family do and watch with the TV, all while serving you some of the trashiest ads that I've seen in recent memory. And that's based on first-hand experience. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. It's going to be a rough edit, but I like the idea a lot. I hope this is something that other people will be excited to chat about, think about, and potentially take action with these kinds of devices. Yeah, not a lot of other business. Follow up on something I mentioned last time. I will be doing one of those question and answer sessions just in the community tab, all text-based. Don't worry about video stuff at all. And I'll post the exact date and time over there as soon as I can. Also, thanks as always just for being here at all. This might sound strange, but sitting down to record something and I don't know, knowing that at least some people will watch it, and feeling it as a particular space is something I actually really enjoy, and it relaxes me in a strange way, which is great when it's been a really weird month. I'll be back as soon as I can. Until then, take care.